Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of FireDEV, Fireside Chat with people in the industry. Today is a very special episode. It's a AI panel, and my guests are Tom Vazdar, Big Al Gruswitz, and Margarida Barreto. So, all three of you, I want to thank you for coming onto this panel today. How is everyone?
Doing
Great.
fine.
Great.
Fantastic. So we'll start with introductions. Obviously, keen listeners of the podcast will recognize each of the guests. They've been on the podcast before, but I think it's best to do a quick round of introductions, or as long as each guy and girl wants to do it. Tom, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Hey, Farhan, thank you for having me. So my name is Tom. I am the CEO and founder of a consulting company called Riscoria Advising and Professional Services, and focused very much on cybersecurity and artificial intelligence consulting. So what I do is actually strategic guidance, consulting, AI infrastructure development, risk management. So basically anything that's relevant for these two fields. I also work as a professor, as area chair of enterprise cybersecurity. I'm a board member of Disaster Tech Lab, which is a humanitarian organization, and right now we're also heavily involved in AI projects. I'm also a consultant for ENISA, cybersecurity agency in Europe, and a program board member for RSA conferences. I developed like 5 or 6 different AI models already, won 2 hackathons in AI. So I've been actually pretty successful right now with everything. So this is shortly about me.
Big Al?
Okay, thanks again for inviting me as well. Big Al Gruswitz. I frequently tell people it's not Big AI Gruswitz because some people have made that mistake. But I am an illustrator in advertising. I've been specializing in 3D and 2D photorealistic illustration, medical illustration, and what I call difficult retouching, the jobs that their staff people aren't necessarily capable of handling. So I get that type of stuff. And then 2 years ago, like Margarida, I started working with Midjourney, and it's been just a constant working in that program and others ever since. I've also taught 4 different ad agencies how to use Midjourney and the Photoshop AI capabilities, and I'm involved with another place where we're doing training sessions for people. I've been in advertising for 60 years, 30 years as an art director and associate creative director, primarily in New York at Saatchi & Saatchi, and then 30 years as my own company, Boundless Creativity, as an illustrator in advertising. And yes, at 80 years old, I'm still working and still enjoying it, and the clients are still coming.
That's great to hear. Margarida, how about yourself?
Hi, I'm Margarida Barreto. I'm a creative director with over 20 years of experience in communication design, and I'm partner at the moment of a graphic and web design and marketing agency in Portugal. Over the years, I had the opportunity to work with amazing companies like Apple, HP, Mitsubishi, and we in the agency that I work now, we are specialized in using AI to enhance creative process and clients' works. I've been using Gen AI daily since 2022 in the agency and for myself. I have a huge enthusiasm for AI. Also drives me to develop impactful awareness campaigns. That's a very dear theme to me. I recently published the Midjourney Expedition. It's a Midjourney full guide to empower creatives and curious minds within Gen AI. And I'm also co-author of a children's book, All Done with AI. It's from A to Zenith Azimuth. And that's it.
So first of all, I just wanna just go around and just have a discussion about, you guys have kind of briefly already touched on it, but which AI models are you primarily using right now, and why?
Well, I can go first.
Uh,
So what I'm using is actually, well, of course, it's ChatGPT. This is something for a daily usage for different stuff. But when I build models, I'm actually still with Haiku from Anthropic, and I'm also using the new ChatGPT 4.0 Mini, only because they're very affordable. And when you work with APIs, you have to test a lot. So this is actually not spending so much money like it used to before. And this is actually quite cool right now that basically, each month there is something new development with AI, with new language models being out there. So it's actually very exciting to try them all because this is like the candy store. You have to try them all to learn about them. And it's taken lots of time actually to learn all this stuff.
I started in Midjourney back in version 2, and so I've been progressing with it all this long time. The other programs that I've worked with, Musavir, actually on the our Friday, the main event, audio event that we do every Friday on LinkedIn. We actually helped launch Musavir on there. Musavir and Rubber Band and the new Flux that just came out this week are all based on the on stable diffusion, and so they differ because of what they've added to it. I work with Musavir, Adobe Firefly. I've worked with uh, Microsoft Copilot with DALI 3, and I've gotten involved with doing music videos using UDO for the music and Luma Dream Machine for the images, and then editing things in CapCut. I'm anxious to work in Runways version 3, which I haven't had a chance to yet, but I've got a lot of interest in that kind of an area as well. But as far as keeping up with all the other programs and everything that are there, I basically feel no one can do everything, and so what I do is I learn from what other people are doing in various programs, such as Leonardo, or there's been a number of people that were trying stuff in Flux this week, and certainly a lot of people are doing things with Rubber Band. And though I haven't worked in those programs, I feel like I have an understanding of what their capabilities are because of what I'm finding out from our global community on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think I'm very close to what Vigal was saying. I started also in Midjourney, and what I see, I always turn in the end to Midjourney again. But I've been playing around. I was playing around just before we talked with Flux, but I want to learn how to integrate it with Comfy UI. I saw it. You can gain more control even, and program it to convey your ideas. So I'll have to give it a try. I'm also playing with some video tools. Kling AI, it's very cool. I also tested Vido. It's also a Chinese tool like Kling. Luma, it's great. Also tried this week Gen 3 from Runaway, the new model. Pretty cool. The outputs are amazing, but it's nice to have to try all of them, because you can see that some of them don't have the perfect results you want for some specific jobs. And knowing the ups and downs for each tool, it's the best way, in my opinion, to know what to choose in the end. Regarding images, I was saying in the beginning, for me it's Midjourney, but I'm also using Leonardo. They have a huge amount of models you can use and adapt to your creations. There are a variety of tools. You have Picasso from FreePic. I saw that Magnific, it's an upscaler. Magnific AI is also, I think, I don't know if it's involved with the free peak. I saw the news yesterday. I have to confirm, but what I saw today is that Flux, the new tool that Bigal was saying before, they are going to do. They are mixing with the free peak, so the Picasso tool, the free peak already has. It will be working maybe on Flux models, stable diffusion, more advanced models. I don't know. It's something we have to keep an eye on. But yeah, every day new tools come out. It's hard to be tracking them all, but they are uh, awesome tools for different things. Musavir, again, like Pigal was saying, it's perfect for avatars also, avoiding some bias. Um, I'm also trying a lot the new model that Midjourney launched, V6.1, that supposedly should be V6.6. But yeah.
Margarida, the Flex is also being able to be used in Google Colab, Comfy UI, and Replicate also. So all of those are available to be using, and I think the reason why uh, it's ideal to work through those is because you get to utilize their GPUs, to do this, because apparently it's quite a heavy program.
Yes, one of the things is that if you run in the cloud, they you are not totally free to play with the tools, because some of the prompts may be blocked. But yes, you can use them on Replicate. Yeah, that's the way what I was playing with them today.
Okay, and obviously, Facebook or Meta has been talking about the Llama Model 3.1 more specifically. Recently, have you guys had a look much at Llama, and what do you think of Meta's offering in comparison to OpenAI's, ChatGPT, and obviously Midjourney as well, and obviously all the various other models out there like Google, for example.
And there is lots of competition right now, and it's been always like that on the market. And every company, they're introducing new and better and more advanced models that are more affordable. This is actually what we're seeing now with the releases from both Meta and Anthropic and OpenAI. But what I'm really interested in is actually something that was developed in Belgium, and this is from the startup called TextGrain, with a real practical use. And this will be released in 2025, which is just a few months away from release date. And TextGrain this is the AI model that is capable of detecting hate speech online in all 24 languages of European Union, which is pretty interesting, because right now that's something that's impossible. And that this year 2024 is the election year for 2/3 of the world. Many countries already had elections, and we've seen lots of influence actually from rogue actors in different countries, especially now with the elections coming in the US. There's lots of hate speech and faulty speech online, and definitely online model like from TextGrain is something that in the future will be able to detect actually everything that's fake, that's hateful, And this is actually the practical use of different language models that I'm looking for.
Okay, so X grain this new model, like, is it entirely a new model or is it built on top of one of the existing ones like
It's
GPT?
actually, yeah, this is the model that's completely built from scratch because they had issues. Other companies, when they were build their own language models, there was no hate speech, there was nothing, everything was excluded. And these guys actually had to build everything from scratch and develop a model that would actually learn on hate speech and recognize actually what is hateful, what is not hateful. And this was actually also sponsored by the European Union, and right now they're making really good progress. Because this language model, large language models, especially commercial ones, they refuse to process toxic language, and this is actually making it almost impossible to use to process hate speech. So this company had to build everything from scratch that can process this type of content, but without generating content like that.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the drawbacks with trying to prevent hateful, input is when you're trying to create something good to try and protect from it, you obviously need the context. You need to have input of what, let's say what you're checking, then from that determining, but then you also need that history, of, how it's being used around the world, how it's used on the web, the connotations behind it. But if they are saying that certain words or certain, topics are just not accessible, even if you can kind of trick the A current models, not explaining, like ChatGPT or Gemini to process the data, because they haven't had the exposure like it might do around just other topics like engineering, for example, the actual output might not be that accurate and that good as well. So yeah, it is a double-edged sword, and it's something that they've definitely played the safe side, but it also means when you have a time like this with the elections and they're trying to prevent the bad actors, the current tools no longer work and they're having to create more specialist tools, and that's naturally always going to be the way. They're going to create more specialist tools for different jobs. I feel like they might have maybe a certain raw version of one of these models that you can purchase or subscribe to, and maybe you have to go through some sort of authentication process, and you can use it in a way that you might not be able to use ChatGPT as just a general user. I think in the future we might have that where you can use the model, input stuff that the average person can't, get some output, but it has to be maybe authorized or some sort of constraints.
Right.
Uh,
There is
Go ahead.
also just one thing to add. In EU, there is actually a new law that was introduced in February of this year. It's called Digital Services Act, and which demands actually that all online platforms, they need to take measures to mitigate harmful content, which is including also hate speech. So this is definitely not something that is very much a focus of regulator, and also it's a focus of other companies, to implement that. Everybody who has a digital platform. And what I read is that also the text grain, they're looking forward to expand to international markets in 2025. So this is a whole new niche market, very much interesting. Go ahead, Al.
Um, I have a friend, Christian Ortiz, on LinkedIn, and he's developed a program called Justice AI, and that is a phenomenal program for helping HR departments, hospitals, or schools, businesses on making sure that they're dealing with their employees of minorities in a just and equal way, and it is something that they can evaluate their own system with this, but they can also turn to it to help solve certain problems and everything that they may be having with dealing with some of their employees. So it's a remarkable thing that he's put together, and he's very much involved with this whole area of justice and equality.
Okay, and is this something that he's put together that anyone can access, or is it more certain businesses and organizations? Like, how does someone, use that might actually be interested? Do they have to reach out to him, or is there a website?
Yeah, he's got it on his website, and he is trying to connect with different companies and everything. The biggest problem that he's had to begin with is, people don't want to be, you know, critical, find something that's critical of what they're doing. But the way this thing works, it's really not a matter of being critical as much as really trying to point out ways that things can, work better, and how to deal with, whether they're Hispanic or some, person that's from another country. It just gives them a lot of insights on how to do this. But he's got it on his website, and he's also is trying to sell it to different companies to try it out. It's fairly new.
Okay, I mean, that definitely sounds very interesting and something that I think will be very, very useful as well. And again, it comes down to that thing, it's specialized, and they can tailor it and focus on a particular specific, area itself. So, in terms of, AI, what's the most exciting thing right now for you guys? What's, hot in your eyes, or what are you really looking forward to that might have been announced? Margarida, do you want to start?
Yes, for me, the most exciting thing uh, it has been this year, the huge step we are having in video creation. Um, I think since last year, we all thought about it, and we predicted that video would be taking huge steps in this field. Also, 3D, we are seeing some new tools combined with already 3D studios doing advanced tools in that fields. But I'm very curious to see. This is just some leaks that came out. I don't know when will this or if this will be released, but it's about the project Strawberry from OpenAI that supposedly is based on the last year project they had that was named Q. I think they stopped because they had some problems inside the company. But from what they're saying, I don't think this will be AGI, but maybe it's a small step. I don't know. But I'm very curious about, because they are saying that it involves fine tuning OpenAI's existing LLMs. They say that it's been capable of resolving huge math problems. I don't know. This can be a huge step, but let's see. I'm very curious to know more about this. It's all just from what I've been reading. It's just some journalists from some journals trying to get a hand on these documents and giving us some tips.
I've certainly been very interested in both the music and video uh, programs. Like I said, I've worked with Udio, and also with Luma Dream Machine. I'm very anxious to try Runway, but the thing is interesting about Runway is when they first came out earlier in the year, you could submit a picture and then it would do some animation for 4 seconds, and it was usually doing a lot of distortions. And I never liked to do anything with that. I did a couple things, but like it was so inferior that I just didn't want to be doing it. And then when they came out with version 2, where you could program various depth areas so that you could animate different parts with a brush, what you want to have moving at a certain speed or whatever, and as you go back further, there'd be less movement and that sort of thing in the thing. That was very nice. But then when they came out with 3, it was when they first brought it out with 3, you could only do prompting to get a video, but very quickly afterwards they added where you could have an image for style as well as prompting. So it looks very promising.
How about you, Tom?
Okay, for me, I've been actually focused very much on business automation. So basically, anything that is used, to automate repetitive tasks, to streamline operations, also to enhance decision-making processes in different industries is very much in my focus. I've been working with actually probably like 6 different clients at the same time in different industries, with different needs, so finding the right model for them, something that will work well for them. I'm also working with somebody who is in the medical industry, so I'm exploring right now MedPalm 2, which is a large language model from Google Research, which is designed for medical domain. So basically, it provides answers, everything that is relevant for doctors. So this is all part of business automation. There is so much potential for this everywhere in the world. And I'm just amazed, about so much interest from different companies. Now everybody wants to learn about AI. Everybody heard about something that other companies are using it, but they actually don't know how to start. And to help them, it's very important actually that you as a consultant understand, how everything works, what is new on the market, what is the practical implementation, or different case studies for different AI models. Because right now, when we all started like a few years back, I actually started back in 2014 with machine learning and stuff, but with the Gen AI, this is basically the rise of ChatGPT in 2022, and now it actually keeps growing. There are new models in the market. Different uses. I'm very much focused also on AI and cybersecurity. I'm also advising there, and I have practical experience being chief security officer before for a bank. So I actually learned a lot during that process. But for threat detection, lateral movements on the network, AI just perfect, to be used there. But as I said, there is always something new on the market. New models are out there. I'm very much focused now on this MedPalm 2 from Google Research, because this is the first time actually we have practical use in medical offices, something that's helping doctors.
Okay. And, in terms of, resources, what are the best resources you would recommend for somebody that's really has no clue about this modern, wave of AI, all these large language models, what's out there, what to use? Because obviously, you could, you're using Midjourney, and Midjourney is more for a specific tool. How does someone navigate this landscape, especially someone that can't really or isn't willing to commit that much time? Like, they know that they need to get into it, they have an hour here or there, but they can't spend hours and hours, and they don't have the interest like us to just read about it and just try every little model out there to see which one is best. Like, what are your recommended resources, guys?
Oh, I can jump on that. That's one of the things I always say, because I always start like saying, yeah, we all seen cute image everywhere in our social media feeds, but how can we really use the right technology to the right job? And it's very difficult to decide. That's why I test a lot of them, and I try to always post a small review and say the ups and downs. And I share a post, an article over LinkedIn with a list of different AI tools divided for sound, animation, video, images, even workflows, because I feel that it's better for someone who's starting and doesn't have any idea which tools to have, which are the best. They can go there and see a small summary about what they can do, and choose for itself. Um, but I think it's very difficult if you don't read a little bit about the tools, or if you don't follow people that are doing the same, because it's like in any other field. You have to you also learn with others, and it's by doing this kind of networking, interacting with each other, that we learn and we teach each others.
I think that for people that are just dabbling in it, the I think that Adobe has really aimed their Firefly product for that kind of an audience, because you don't really have to be an expert in prompting, because they have all kinds of buttons that you can select about whether it's the mood, or the what type of art style you're going to be using, and they have movements, themes, techniques, effects, and different materials that you can select from. And they've got, name all of them, and so you can put in a pretty short little prompt, and then get a decent image using these tools. I really, wish that people would get into prompting before that sort of a thing, because um, the trouble with not being able to prompt well is that um, you don't always get the kind of image that you want, because you don't know what it is that you have to say in order to get it. In terms of what is the subject of the prompt, and within a sentence you might have the subject is there, but it's not necessarily in the front of the prompt, and rewording the sentence, it changes the image, and you have to know this kind of stuff. You have to experiment with prompting. As Margarida knows, we did a book on one-word prompts, just to see what the results would be if you use that one word, and then so that you then have an idea what it's going to do when you put it into a longer prompt. And all that kind of experimenting is part and parcel of the success of people that are on LinkedIn that are doing beautiful work. It's but like I said, Firefly, you can go in there, you can push a couple of buttons, and you can say, you want a picture of a girl riding on a surfboard, and then select the buttons that you want, and whether you want it photographic or an illustration, and what kind of styles you want.
Yeah, that's a very interesting, point that you make, Big Al, is that if you go into it like, oh, I want to find the perfect model for generating this, then it's going to be very, very difficult for you. First of all, you need to just experiment with these tools, even if you're just picking, say, one or two of the big ones, like pick ChatGPT. Obviously, Mid Journey is to do with images. If that is, if you're not interested in images at all, then maybe check out Google Gemini if it's literally pure text based. But check them out. Go in it in the notion of I'm just gonna try it, use it, and see how. This is the way I did it. I just went on those platforms. But like ChatGPT was the first one. and I was like, I'd literally just used it as a like kind of like a search engine, and but in not like the best way I see it when you're trying to use it as a search engine is don't try and use it if you're trying to get like a product, for example. It's not going to right now compete against something like Google. But if you're trying to get something that's more of a question, and there's more maybe a conversation around what, like, let's say a problem that you're trying to solve, but you not like a product, then ChatGPT, these tools can really help. You just have a look, experiment, and then you figure out what prompts work, what works well, and from there you get a interest or an idea of, okay, I can use this tool for this tool for that. I might have some ideas that I want to try, maybe business ideas or how to integrate it into my life. But if you just try and go in there and think, okay, I just want to replace 80% of my workflow with AI, you might be able to do that. You might not know which part of the 80% you can do. And you might be trying to hammer on something that isn't a nail, and it's more like an egg. So you need to, like Bigger say, experiment, check out the models, like literally just go to ChatGPT. For everyone else listening, just create a free account with them. You don't need the paid one initially, and just use it. Just type something in there. The beauty of something like this is you can type in gibberish and you'll still respond. Like, so you can literally just talk to it. You just say, and you can say, oh, I want this, and but why didn't you give me this? And then he'll walk you through like you're a baby, that, okay, I need this information from you, or I can't do this, or I can do this. And then from that you figure out really how to use the tools, and then you figure out which one that you want to use and how you want to use it. How about you, Tom?
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned ChatGPT. I recently found statistics from Gartner, and according to their research, 42% of Americans never heard of ChatGPT, which is so amazing. That it's been around for a couple of years, and 42% never heard of it. But for somebody who is just starting with AI, of course, ChatGPT is the obvious choice, and many people would use it as a search engine. And this is completely wrong usage, because there's only 1% of people who actually know how to use Google operators, so now they're using ChatGPT for searches. This is completely wrong. And then people would conclude, it doesn't work, it's not for me. But you need to change the paradigm, actually, how you use it. You should use it like, give ChatGPT or Anthropic, whoever, which model you use, give it a problem to solve, and then create a document for something. This is something actually that the language models are really good in reasoning, in providing answers. Of course, for something more complex, you have to make sure it doesn't hallucinate. You need to adjust temperatures and context window and everything. But for somebody who is just starting, uh, it's really important to understand the basics of AI. You need to learn about AI fundamentals. Just need to understand what is AI, what is the history of AI, what are the subfields such as machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing. You need to understand all these basics before you actually start using something. And then there are so many different free resources on the internet. You can go either Coursera or Kaggle. There are resources everywhere. And Google released, NVIDIA released their own free courses. So whoever wants to learn, there is lots of stuff online. You don't really need to know how to code. Many people are afraid because they think like, oh, I don't know Python or something, but you don't really need to know that. There are many no-code solutions in the market like that. And then just in one afternoon you can learn everything you want to know, and then you will actually find out some case studies, and you will learn actually about the practical use based on these case studies, what you can do for yourself, your business. So there are different things. I also work as an instructor for no code company called mindstudio.ai. And basically every 2 weeks we have certification courses in AI, so people learn who have no experience with AI, no knowledge, no nothing. They just learn in 3 hours. Actually, it's 9 hours course, but one session is 3 hours long. Just learn everything you want to know about AI and how to build your own basic model. And there are like 30 different models that you can use. So you actually learn what is the practical use of each language model for different companies. Recently, I actually was involved in a company who wanted to do a math problems. So they're trying to use ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is not used. It's not really good for mathematics, and there are different models like that. So you need to understand what is good for which use case. For mathematics, it's Databricks. There's one from Mistral called Mestral. There are actual models for everything. We discussed here lots of Midjourney. This is for image generation. So everybody has different needs. They're in different industries. Somebody who is working on financial models definitely will need a language model for financial modeling. Who is in the medical office definitely needs MedPalm, something like that. That would actually work in his vertical business. Graphic designers, of course, there's a diagram. There's Midjourney. There is all kind of graphical solutions. So basically, start with the basics and then find your niche and just go that way.
I'm finding some problems with clients related to their impression of AI. For one thing, they are definitely thinking AI can do anything and that it's going to be cheaper and faster. And you have to educate them about the fact that it's just one more tool, and it's a tool that's in early development, and some things it's good at, and other things it just doesn't have the training to be able to do it well. So, for example, doing anatomically correct body parts or muscular structure or even skeletal structure. And the other problem that I'm running into is I've had two large corporations where the lawyers will not allow them to use Midjourney for fear of the copyright issues. And so they want to use Firefly since Adobe, has trained their model on their stock images. And so, I've had to do things using Firefly and the Firefly capabilities within Photoshop Beta in order to do these projects for the clients, and also in terms of the training that they want to learn how to do it in Firefly. And some of the things that their bosses are asking for them to learn how to do, for example, type in an image. We've had problems with Midjourney and Dolly 3 and just different programs to try to get type, say, on a beer can or whatever. And the thing is that right now, Firefly is about the same stage as Midjourney was in terms of type, probably back 6 months ago. And so, if you're saying, you want to call a beer can Buddy Beer, you may have BUDY BEEEER, and all different combinations of things. Or sometimes you'll just get the word beer or whatever. So the thing is that what they're being asked to do, I'm having to explain to them, well, no, you can't do necessarily all of that stuff. Here's how close you can come and what kind of tricks to try to do it. But you have to explain to the people that are asking you this that no, this does not do everything. And certainly being trained on a much smaller amount of data as stock images that Adobe owns versus the OpenAI stuff that Midjourney has been trained on, it's far less creative. But as I say to people, Firefly, being trained on stock images, is very good at producing stock images, things that look like a stock image that you couldn't find someplace, and you program it and tell it to make this picture, and sure enough, you get a picture that is a good quality stock image.
I just wanted to go back a little when you were talking about ChatGPT, and going if like Tom was saying that a lot of people in US don't know or didn't hear about ChatGPT. Uh, for those who don't know, we also have other options. We have Perplexity, we have Gemini from Google, and we have also Claude. So there are a variety of options to people to use and see each of them is best for them. Um, just about what Bigal was saying, it's not I don't have that experience, but I'm also hearing about a lot of creatives and other people telling that they are forbidden to use tools with AI in their works. I don't know if it's an imposition just because the businesses or the brands don't want them to use them per se, or if they are just afraid. I don't know if any of you have heard of this.
Yeah, I mean, I've come across it. I think a lot of it is the fear of, even though the tools might say that, we're not using other people's, inputs and data to process it, we know they are. And the fact that ChatGPT has an option that allows you to, keep it, you know, private essentially now shows that they were and that they also it is a concern of theirs, especially when business is already ticking and they don't want to shake anything. I think the other thing is it's like the unsaid fear as well. Like the employees don't even pose the question. Like they don't want to even risk asking their manager or employer, because as soon as they pose that question, even if it's like no, and they're like, okay, that's fine, I'll just continue working as I've been doing. It'll be in the manager's mind then that, oh, are they using AI? So like, I think there's an element to that the conversation doesn't even get to the stage. It doesn't even get to a conversation stage out of an employee's head because of the fear of what that might mean for them. So yes, there's definitely a lot of fear, about it. What do you guys think, Tom and Big L, about this?
Um, well, what you mentioned actually is something that's also called shadow AI. And shadow AI refers to the use of artificial intelligence within an organization without the explicit approval or knowledge or oversight of overseeing manager or IT department, whoever is in charge. And this is similar to the concept called shadow IT, where employees use unauthorized technology to perform their work more efficiently. So this is definitely an issue in organizations. They want to make sure that their proprietary data is secured, and online models. This is definitely something that the financial institution would look to implement on their premises. So they're more focused on edge solutions, on-prem solutions, something that would be handled internally in their own data center, which is definitely a way how to secure data and secure proprietary information. But on the other hand, it's very expensive also if you do everything by yourself, because you need lots of computing power. If you want to do something more serious, I mean, you can run offline model on MacBook without any problems, but this is not actually for professional corporate use. So basically, you will need to run your own servers within your own data center. You have to have your own IT team that's specially responsible for AI maintenance, somebody who would care about language models, about hardware, software. So it's actually much easier to just rent everything from a cloud, either Google or Amazon, whoever is out there, and just build it there in your own model that you want to run. But people always use something that's forbidden. People realize actually in spite of those 42% I never heard of ChatGPT, people want to use AI in their work. I've been in many different conversations with different people who claim that they're not allowed to use it because there are no policies, nothing is regulated, there is no AI strategy, anything like that, because companies don't know actually how to write that and they're just afraid of technology. But people are progressive, they want to learn, they want to use it. The first practical use is how to generate documentation. This was the first thing that I learned, actually, how to generate documents. And then this is a lifesaver. It's saving also lots of time, and effort to generate something like that. So if it's forbidden in an organization, people always find a way how to go around it. So it's in companies' benefit, actually, in their best interest, to find a way actually to create AI strategy, policies and procedures around AI strategy, and to enable their employees to use AI, because they will be more productive, they'll be happier when they use it, they'll have more free time. They just need to learn how to do it. And this is actually part of my business, what I'm doing, because there's lots of interest for this area, to transform their businesses, business operations, in a way to use AI, to integrate AI in your daily life. This is what I was saying before about the automation of business processes. This is just a wonderful thing to do for an organization. There is practical use case for basically any process. So you just have to see how to do this.
Yeah, I still have these. Again, I think that the biggest place where we're getting fear is from lawyers in the larger corporations. In some of the ad agencies that I've taught how to use Midjourney, they don't have any qualms about using Midjourney, and I've done projects for them where I've actually combined um, rendering different images in Midjourney and then combining them in Photoshop along with a 3D model that I made and rendered so that they could all be combined into that one image. And the other thing is that when you have the clients that are saying no, you cannot use Midjourney, um, you just have to find ways of accomplishing it within the use of Firefly. Getty is, out of the question as far as I'm concerned. They're going to have to change their policy a bit, because way they are charging is $2 a prompt, but they want you to buy a minimum of 12,000 prompts. That means you're spending $24,000 before you even start prompting anything. So I don't know how anything but a large company would be willing to do that. And even those, I don't know if that really is something that they would want to do. That's why I'm being told to do stuff in Firefly. The one thing that's nice about using Firefly within Photoshop is you can make a high resolution picture right off the bat. You can open up a new file, establish it at whatever dimensions you want at 300 or 350 dpi, and it really doesn't take any longer to generate an image to that size than to generate one that's 72 dpi. It's amazing how quickly it will work. In any of this stuff with Midjourney, well, it's true with Midjourney too, but particularly in Firefly, I think it's very important to have an image reference image for them to work from, because I find I get much better results when I have an image style reference that is something that they're learning from as they're creating the image. The other thing that Firefly has is a construction reference, and by that you can do interesting things. Like I did a project where I used a style reference of an ice cream sandwich, your typical rectangular ice cream sandwich. And then I did a quick, uh, simple drawing of an ice cream sandwich shaped like a bear, and did that in Illustrator, and then brought that in as a construction reference, and it did a beautiful job of making it look like an ice cream sandwich that's in the shape of a bear. But those are nice tools. The only thing they don't have in Firefly at this point is a character reference. The only programs that I know of that are really doing well with that is Midjourney and Musavir.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk to you guys, obviously we spoke about ChatGPT, we spoke about using it as a search engine, and obviously Tom was very vocal about that, and I do agree, for the most part with Tom as well. I think it's a great way to maybe get into it, and there are certain the problem with search engines is it's like ChatGPT. Everyone's dumping everything on ChatGPT and not realizing what it's good for. Just the way everyone dumped all their queries onto search engines, and there were certain queries that, frankly, you needed a ChatGPT like tool. So I don't think it's a matter of don't use it like a search engine, but figure out what you would have put in a search engine. Could that be better off used in something like ChatGPT? Because one example is if you was using a search engine where you have 3-4 steps where you're maybe manipulating data, you're going to one website that was manipulating some data. So instead of just finding the link, going to that, getting some data, getting the output, you could just do that on ChatGPT, manipulating some sort of mathematical data, some sort of text data, whatever it is. So that is one important part. But obviously, OpenAI announced Search GPT. What do you guys think of that? And do you think it could disrupt Google, as in Google.com?
Well, maybe I can actually share a couple of insights here. Definitely, Google has been around for many years as a king of search engine. And now what Search GPT is from OpenAI, the prototype, it's not out there on the market yet, but the prototype is promising actually. There will be conversational interface, where it will allow users to ask all follow-up questions in a conversational manner. So this is actually very beneficial because right now we don't have search engine like that. Yes, we do have Perplexity, but Perplexity is actually working on Llama model, which is expanded now with search capabilities. So with this one from OpenAI, it will actually be completely different experience than how we use Google right now. And this will be very interesting because each language model, they have their own cutoff date. So ChatGPT 4, I think it was December of last year or April of this year, I don't know anymore because it changes so quickly. But there is always some cutoff date, and there is always the recent information is always lacking. So now with the integration through Search GPT, there will be real-time information retrieval, which is actually generating new opportunities now to work with RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. You'll be actually able to work with the real-time data. This is something that you cannot do right now. So it will basically integrate real-time information from the web. It will ensure that user receives up-to-date and relevant answers. You'll be able also to do citations, which is really important if you're doing any type of academic research or anything. You need to provide citations also. So definitely, I'm looking forward very much to Search GPT from OpenAI, and they will probably take some market share from Google. Google has been slow so far, since they started this race with Gemini and their models. But they're probably just way too big and too regulated right now. And this is definitely opportunities now for other companies to bite into their market share and change things around, how we use search engines.
One of the things that I have concerns about in terms of search engine AI programs is they're trying to get them to um, tailor it to specific people. So there are, they've learned that there are certain things that I like, and so they're going to show me those kinds of things. The same thing happens in terms of ads. If I go on somebody's website and see something, the next time I get on Facebook, I'll have a ad for that particular product or whatever, and all of this sort of thing. I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to be limited to what the chatbot thinks I'm interested in. I don't want to be pigeonholed, I guess.
How about you, Margarida? What's your take on, Search GPT? And is this something that you're excited to use, or are you happy with Google and you're happy with what you're using the others, even if it's ChatGPT, the models for? Do you think there's even a place for it? And do you think it could take on Google, honestly?
Well, I use a lot of ChatGPT to do research, but here I don't know if this is a global thing or just local, but a lot of people in Portugal, I know they do a lot of search, use like Instagram for search engine. Uh, More likely young generations, they use Instagram for search, and now TikTok. So the way we do and use search engines depends, I think, where we are, how old we are. I do a middle thing. I use a lot of Google, and sometimes I use ChatGPT. I The thing I was telling you before about the project Strawberry, the model Strawberry, I think it's the same, or maybe the same was Tom was saying, because it will have, or it will manage to do a deep research, and it will be like you are partnering with a PhD in any field you want to go deep on. So I'm very curious because I use a lot, but in the same time, it was like what Big Gal was saying. What about data and how we can all control and safeguard this kind of issues?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I'm very excited for because I have actually been using ChatGPT heavily as an alternative to Google. Again, it's where Google really was just the only tool for the job, but it wasn't the best tool for the job. When I'm trying to search for a specific website, a product, I know what I want, then it's different. But when there's a lot of sort of conversation around it, there's some sort of data manipulation, then definitely, or I want some context, then I'm definitely using, Chat GPT, for that, or some other model. But it will be interesting because there are times that I want to be able to use Google in a conversational way, but then be able to maybe scrape the data that's on a website and then have a conversation based on that. And then also the ability to, let's say, if you're using Google and you're trying to find a solution to obviously I'm pretty sure we all use Photoshop. If you're trying to find a solution to a problem in Photoshop that you're having, one cool use, let's say just in Google, if it has some sort of AI conversation model built in, would be to say that, okay, I've used this and this website, or ones that you've gone to, it doesn't show them again. Or it's like, okay, if these ones aren't working, then maybe what's in there based on what it reads isn't what you're looking for. And then ones that might have been lower down in like page 5 and 6 that you never would have visited, after visiting 2 or 3 at the top, it might do a reorder. Maybe have an option where you can just do the original order, so it's not AI based, per se. But I think that will be very interesting because I'm sure you've all, gone down the rabbit hole of Google where you're just clicking every link, trying to find a solution. Nothing's working. You go from page 1, 2, 3, and sometimes you find it on one of the last pages. I think that would be very, very interesting. Again, that's what I want from Google, but we might get that in Search GPT, something along those lines.
Just wanted to have a thing that maybe Claude will also be putting something new on the table, because I've read that one of the co-founders of OpenAI as is leaving OpenAI and is going to Anthropic. So it's the same company that creates Claude. Let's see what will be new and next.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll be definitely very interesting, and him taking that knowledge and the way how things work from OpenAI and now taking that over to Anthropic and seeing what he develops there and what that could potentially become as a result. Uh, what do you think of hardware devices that have kind of failed, like Humane AI, the Humane Pin AI? There was it called Rabbit or Rabbit. That device that really didn't have like a conventional screen, as a bit more of a text input, and both of them have basically been hailed as solutions to something that didn't need to be created, where you just have the app on your phone. Like, what did you think of them? And do you think, well, what sort of AI based physical tool would you like to see?
Yeah, there is definitely, when we talk about Humane and Rabbit, they're ahead of their time at the time that they were presented. But the thing is, with AI, everything is going fast speed. And by the time they release their hardware devices, there are already new models on the market, integrated with iPhone and Android devices, So basically, there was no need anymore for something that was visionary at the time these products were introduced. So we can go back in the history when we look at the Palm Pilot, for instance. This was something that it was a must-have for any businessman. To keep your notes there and your contacts. I personally had all models from Palm Pilot. But when the Apple released their iPhone with a touchscreen, suddenly everything transitioned to one device only. So the same thing will happen with the AI. Definitely, phones are changing, but you want to have, before you had to have like multiple different devices. I had a full briefcase of different gadgets. So basically, right now you have everything in one gadget, and there is really no need for something like Humane or Rabbit. There is also one, I forgot how it's called, like a pin that records all your meetings and provides transcripts. And this is a very huge invasion of privacy also. But basically, everything will be on one device only. Like last time we discussed also Ray-Ban glasses from Meta. Definitely, I'm getting them next week because I promised to update you on this. So AI is everywhere. There's practical use of AI in different devices, but if you can stick everything on one device only, even better.
I I say the same as Tom. Agree with everything he said. Is like it was just another tool to do exactly the same the other tools we already have do. So it's just another gadget to put on our purse or on our pockets. I don't think that the innovation it's there. I don't think these are the devices that are going to make that change. Even that one, the pin, I don't recall the exact name, pin AI or something. Yeah, it sounded cool, but in the end, you can do everything with other features or tools you put on your phone. So
So whilst we've been discussing, AI heavily, what technologies are you interested by that aren't necessarily powered by AI? It seems like everything is, even your your new toothbrush will say powered by AI. Don't know what it's really doing with AI, but and I wonder if that even improves sales as well of a toothbrush. But that's a conversation for another day. Marketing, but like, what other stuff excites you that's not really AI based?
Okay, that is really an interesting question. So there are many different devices on the market coming in the future, like different types of smartphones, like foldable phones. This has been there has been lots of discussion about foldable phones in the past, and the prototypes they had were not really successful. But now what we are seeing with new Samsung Galaxy phones, that look pretty cool. I've seen them actually, didn't use them, but I see how they look like. It's really, really interesting. There is then wearable technology, I don't know, Apple is releasing new stuff in September this year, and so there'll be new watch, new phone, new smart home devices. So, but everything is. I don't think we can avoid AI anymore. I think it's part of our life. It's everywhere. Even in electronic vehicles. It's very important actually for the proper navigation. Tesla models, and they use it. Other companies that produce cars, e-cars, they use AI in their cars for autonomous vehicles. I don't know. There'll be new, probably gaming consoles on the market. It's been a while now since major players released something new. Maybe new PlayStation. We'll see. Nintendo, what they release. But I believe that AI will be part of everything, even in video cameras. I don't think you can avoid it anymore. To get a perfect shot, you'll have to use AI. So I think you cannot avoid it anymore. It's everywhere.
I am very interested in where Apple's Vision Pro is going. I think AR is another area that is going to be growing much more with the inclusion of AI with it. And I think that we're just scratching the surface on what you can do with a device like Vision Pro. I think that they're going to have much more use for it, and I think that we've heard people talk about glasses that have computer devices in it. There's all kinds of speculation about what future uh, communication devices we'll be using, but I do think the one that is there now that I think bears a definite future growth is in the AR area.
I think it's difficult to say they are AI in my field is not interconnected because it's totally connected. You see everything that comes out with new tools, even with Adobe Figma. It's always the new updates integrating new AI things. So, in my point of view, it's like it's a new tool, a new way of improving and enhancing your work and the tools you already use. My curiosity in this AI stuff that's going on is in medical care. I'm seeing a lot of improvements and the way it can help and diagnose some disease and things that sometimes take a lot of time and can avoid multiple errors, things that we didn't knew could be made in a different way. So I think in terms of medical care, healthcare, it will be a tremendous jump in helping humans in a more efficient way.
So next thing I want to discuss with you guys is something that I know Big Al knows. I want to think Tom and Margarida, as well. Something that I'm, personally working on is AI generated, books, and to hear your thoughts on it. Be as brutal as you want, guys. Even though it's a project of mine that I've got going on. So a little rundown: the AI generated books that I'm able to generate in under 60 minutes, and programming focused for now, but can do other topics as well. I've tried them, but yeah, using some of the large language models out there, publishing them, and improving them. Published over 100 right now, and trying to get to the point where it's not a good AI book or a good book made by AI. It's just a good book, period. And, like, what do you guys think about that side of things? AI generated content beyond more than a page or two, but in the length of 250 pages, in the form of a book.
Well,
I
I
mean,
think what you go ahead,
go ahead.
Tom.
Okay,
Okay.
so when we talk about AI generated content in general and books in particular, this is a very fascinating field, but it's also very controversial because yes, you can create lots of content, and you can be really, really fast in your creation, you can automate things. But what AI is lacking actually emotion. And there is right now if there is no emotion, then you cannot really create something that's going to be so attractive to somebody who would be genuinely interested into reading what AI produces. Yes, maybe short stories will work fine, but something that's a little bit more complex, I don't think we're there yet. That would be able to produce something with creativity, ingenuity that a real writer could write. So there are many different weaknesses, and lots of impact on the people who actually on writers who produce books. Definitely, generative AI is disruptive technology for them, and it's also disruption of traditional publishing. But is it the future of literature? Maybe in a way, for something that you can use as a research, to write bare contact to do it faster, but nothing can replace actually a human being. You always need a human to produce something really good to read.
Yeah,
Something.
I mean, uh, I actually 100% agree with you, Tom. Even though I'm creating these books, and that's one of the reasons I focused on programming books. Like my idea, with again, eventually it will go into fiction and non-fiction. Like storybooks as well. Definitely 100%. Right now, I think for that side of it, it should be more of an assistance tool. Writer's tool where okay, you might want to check over a couple of pages. You might want to fledge out, you've got a couple of, a few bullet points, turn that into a few paragraphs, then maybe manually edit it, whatever. Like there's or even it might not even be the generation stage. It might be a matter of going in after the fact, using it just to stylize, your book, edit something, a
Mhm.
math edit, do something in a way that simple copy and paste does not work, in a way that if you refer to something, but you no longer need to refer to it, but you can't just do, find and just delete it. There's a bit more nuance to it. Chat GPT or a AI tool can really help. But yeah, again, like my stance, or like where I'm approaching it is, you know those books that you read, or bits of books that you read whilst you was at university, for me, programming, I have no emotional connection to them. I have no real memory of like that moved me in a way, because he was pure just here's knowledge, and I needed the knowledge to be right. That was the main focus, and then also accessible in a way that for my learning curve at the time, like it had to be easy enough to access. But the problem was some of those books were very expensive, like 40, 50, 60 dollars, or 40, 50, 60 pounds for me in the UK. And we resorted sometimes to pirating the books, especially when we only needed to use it for the 2 3 chapters, even though yeah, the lecturer would say get all these books, but we didn't want to spend all that money. But imagine if they were a lot cheaper. Imagine if you had access to a library of these sort of educational books in subscription form. Maybe the university has it, or maybe you can access it for £10 a month. You have access to £10,000, and maybe you could even request to have one generated as well for like a slightly higher subscription fee. So that's really where I'm tackling, is where there's so many books you do read for the emotional connection, the way it, conveys a certain story and message. This isn't about replacing J.K. Rowling or J.R. Tolkien. It's about those authors you cannot even name, of, let's say, technical books that are littered on your shelf, and you may just need one or two chapters from it, or might need the whole book. But again, it's purely, you pick it up, get the information, and then you put it down. You just need it to be right and accessible. Like, that's what I'm targeting. So yeah, I agree with you, Tom. It definitely is not going to replace a lot of writers. It's merely going to enhance, it for them.
Our friend,
Go, 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 Miguel.
okay, our friend Lori Mazer writes a fairly lengthy newsletter every week, and she uses a chatbot to compose the thing. But then what she does is she goes back in and puts it in her own voice, which is, she's got a certain character, a certain flair to the way she does things. One of the things I did, I started to put together a sci-fi book, and I was able to get help in establishing the characters and what the different people were that were needed to be in this plot, and I was able to get that from the. I guess I was working with Microsoft Copilot at the time. I also have done some of that sort of a thing with Grammarly, but uh, that worked out quite well. But when I asked it if it could uh, basically do some role playing, it told me that it wasn't programmed to do role playing. So, in other words, to write a dialogue, it was not ready to do that. So I find that interesting, and it certainly seems like it won't take long for that sort of thing to be available. But it's just so much is happening in this last 2 years, and the last 6 months, and the last week, that you just know more things are coming, and quite rapidly. Margarida?
I was just adding that I think these text generators are great for small things at the moment. Like you need to get a chatbot to your social media to get more quick response, to engage with your followers, or for your brand or business. But I feel that you always need that. Yeah, the first idea must be yours, the tone of voice must be yours. I think they are great to put all of your inputs together and deliver you a quick draft or something, but the end and the main goal of everything has to have that human touch that we are not there with AI, in my point of view, at this moment.
I agree. I feel like there's a lot of development to occur. I think there's on two sides. One, the models themselves, because I've seen a huge improvement in the quality of the books post Chat GPT 4, and then especially with Chat GPT 4.0 as well. Like, the improvement compared to 3.5 is immense. And then just the models themselves, even though there's not a new version number, like in the background, more data, and they're doing improvements, they're releasing new features. Like, it definitely has improved. And then me as a creator of the application, becoming better at prompt engineering, I'm really able to get, what I want out of it, be more consistent with the books, Then also, it's a matter of figuring out what AI can really help with in the book process and what it cannot. And the funny thing is, when I first started, I started this with a business partner. It's not just me. So when we first started this, we were trying to do everything with AI, like literally the whole thing, and we wanted to do it as quick as possible. Like then we was doing it in under 30 minutes. Like it was like we got a point where it was 15 minutes, and and we just had the realization that what is the difference in reality of 15, 30 minutes in just bumping it up to 60 minutes if the quality of the output is so much better? When we're talking about comparing it to 6 to 12 months, spending the extra 30, 45 minutes is definitely time worth spent. And like, we're able to create content that's better, more consistent, that flows better, that is more dynamic to the topic as well, has less repetition. Because that's definitely one thing that AI definitely falls down on is when you are producing large bodies of text. And again, we're producing it on the scale of 200-300 pages. It can definitely start repeating itself, and some repetition can be useful in a book. That's not to say every page has to have a unique piece or unique sort of meaning and message on there, but there's definitely sometimes it just becomes way too repetitive, especially with AI. So that's definitely improved as well. Yeah, so we've learned what works well, what doesn't work well, and what we're just gonna do on the human side. And there's become a lot more that we're doing on the human side, but then we're improving what we're doing on the AI side a lot more. And as a result, the quality of the books and the overall end product that we're delivering, again, including what we've done just on the manual human side of it, just like the covers and the styling, for example, and not relying entirely on the AI to do that for us, and then the table and contents, and just researching other books. And because I've got like hundreds of books on my shelf, and many of them coding books, picking them up and having like, okay, what is making this book look like a professional book, like instead of just the content itself, realizing that. But again, that was that journey of putting out there, either getting feedback from people in the form of reviews, or literally just seeing what works and what doesn't work and how to improve it. So I think there's a long way to go. I don't think that long way is that long in time, because especially when we all know how AI advances, it advances like that, sometimes. So I'm very excited for this. I'm excited to see where we can take this in the next 6 to 12 months, as a business model and as a, an end product as well. I'll share with you guys, example of one of the books, and you can, give me some feedback as well. So yeah, I agree. I feel like there's a lot, you know, a long way to go, but I think we're, getting there, with it. Like, what would you guys really want to see generated by AI? Like, what is that one thing that you think, okay, it just takes way too long, whether it's something that you create or whether it's something you're waiting for and then you go and buy and access? What would you be like, okay, I really want to see AI doing it, and you think AI could really do it?
I can answer that question. I'm actually working right now on a model which will be personalized educational content, because I'm also working as a professor. I see that many students just struggle with different books and presentations. They don't know how to go around this. And when you personalize everything with the AI, you can actually create custom lessons for them, do the random quizzes, flashcards, and stuff. And I'm testing this actually on my son right now. And he got actually more into it, into studying than he was before, because right now it's a different format, something he didn't do before. So definitely, personalized educational content, and this is something that I can develop. And there's also something, in creative arts, Big Al mentioned before, Udio, this is for creation of music, the new model they just released, a couple of weeks ago. It's just amazing what you can create right now. There are so many different practical uses now of AI in different areas in the industries.
What about you,
Well,
Big Al?
I
Oh, go ahead, Margarida.
I was going to say that one of the things I was waiting to see was a tool that I could easily transport or upload my draws, my hand draws, and see them come alive with new forms in new perspectives. And finally, I'm seeing that. So I'm waiting for it to just upgrade, and I'm starting to see them turning into videos too. But I'm waiting to see the perfect touch. So I'll be waiting to see the advances in this field.
And one of the things that I've found very interesting that I've seen a couple little snippets of is where you've got a avatar that is speaking, and you actually can kind of program in a personality, and get it to respond in a very natural way, and laugh even, and you can program it to uh, put in an and or whatever in the way that a person would normally talk, and it's really when you combine that sort of capability with what you're doing with videos, with Runway. I think that there's some very interesting things that could take place in terms of creating video where you can at the same time be creating a person that is speaking or singing for that matter. I mean, I think that there's some very interesting things that could be done combining the technology that we're starting to see in certain areas and bring them together with other areas.
So, guys, before we start, wrapping up today's panel, obviously, I want to, thank you for all of you that tuned in. Also, want to thank you guys for coming onto the podcast today. But just some questions regarding AI, and we've talked about the exciting things about AI, about resources. But I want to ask, obviously you guys are heavily deep into it. What are some of the things that you recommend people be careful of when using these tools? Because we've spoken about companies and people being scared, and as part of that fear is blown out of proportion. But I think there's an element of truth in the fear as well. So what would you recommend to people listening to be wary of and careful when using these tools?
And this is definitely a question for me since I have a background in cybersecurity, data privacy. So basically, privacy and security is something very much that should be in focus of everyone using AI. Uh, you have to be careful, just like on Google, on the internet, you don't just provide your personal data. Don't do it also in AI. Don't give it to ChatGPT, to Anthropic, because in spite of their terms of usage and everything, you never know actually what's going to happen with the data that you provide, your personal data. And I know that people do that, and this is not a good practice, So be careful about data privacy. There are also security risks, because AI systems, they can be also vulnerable to cyber attacks, where uh, actors for malicious actors would change the way the AIs and LLMs work, so just to provide wrong information. There is also data bias in AI, because AI models, they learn from data, and if this data contains biases, then the AI will likely perpetuate them also. And this can also lead to unfair outcomes, especially in sensitive areas like, for instance, in hiring, lending, in law enforcement. So something really to be careful of. AI systems also, people expect from them. We mentioned this before, that they could do everything and anything, but it's also ensuring that AI systems treat all users equally. That's very critical. And there should be efforts also made to detect and mitigate bias in AI algorithms also. Now we have in EU, there is a new act, EU called AI Act, which is actually it's already in power, but it's about proper use of AI, ethical use of AI. So this is something that companies that make LLMs will have to especially pay attention to this, and also how we use AI in corporations. There are different security risks, as I said before. The issues about transparency, black box models, ethical considerations that I mentioned also. I think Big Al mentioned before also about legal usage. So there's definite legal accountability, determining who is accountable when AI system causes harm, because this is a very, very complex issue. I mentioned before autonomous vehicles, powered by AI. So if a crash happens, so who is actually responsible? Is it AI? Is the company that made the car, the company that made the language model? Their legal accountability is definitely something that is very important. What else? There's I mentioned before, people are being afraid of AI because they're going to lose their jobs. Because AI and automation can lead to job displacements, especially in sectors that are involving routine and repetitive tasks. So just preparing for this shift, it involves lots of reskilling and upskilling of the current workforce and the future workforce to adapt to the new roles that are created by AI advancements. So there is lots of stuff around the AI, something about what to be careful of.
What about you, Margarida?
Yeah, I say basically the same. And I had another aspect that we all should take a closer look, that was happening before AI, but it's gaining much power with AI, that are the fake news, fake videos, using others' identities. That can be a very dangerous path. But at the same point, it's in our hands. We are the users, and like how we can change the biases in some Gen AI tools. If you just have to tweak your prompt, even if the tool is biased for do that, you have the power to change it. So reinforce the diversity, the equality, and avoid spreading fake news. We have a lot of medias now that when you post your images or share your videos, some of them automatically identify them as made by AI or with the help of AI tools. If they don't do that themselves, be transparent about it, because there's no need to hide what you're doing and what tools you are doing. I'm all about sharing and being transparent about things. So this way you can inform better your audience, the people that are on the other side. I see a lot of misinformation in the public, and people are doing a lot of confusion with these terms. For us we are working in these fields, and we are always looking and paying close attention to these new tools that are coming out, and we are speaking more or less the same language. We sometimes it's sometimes difficult to understand that most of the people don't know the difference of something that was done in Photoshop and now that is done in AI, and can be from one to end, from the beginning to the end, totally fake. And they are very easily to be deceived. So it's in our hands as creators and people who communicate this kind of message to inform them. We are living very strange times, and I think we should all be very cautious about this.
The thing that I feel people should be cautious about is a little bit different tack than what we've been discussing so far, and that is I think people have to be uh, cautious about thinking, well, I'll wait to get involved in this once they get it working out better. So it's not so many problems involved and everything. I will wait until they get some of these things solved, and then I'll get involved. Well, my feeling is if you're not involved in AI now, you're already being left behind because you need to go through this. I mean, those of us who just marveled at what Midjourney version 2 could do and just all excited about that and everything. And then uh, to see what's been happening through the various versions and now in 6.1 to have not only seen the changes as we worked with them, but learned how to work with these programs and really develop our own style and our own way of approaching working with these AI programs. I think that you really have to get involved now, not and don't wait longer because you definitely will be left behind.
100% agree. I just want to echo the points that Margaret and Tom made about private data. Be careful what you're putting in, and it's something that was around before AI. There will be forms online asking you for your data, and long as the website looked kind of decent, people was willing to volunteer the data. And it's the same with social. Even when there's legitimate platforms, be careful with what you're giving, because what permissions are you giving them? What permissions are they gonna, get from you effectively at a later date? With the like we see that with Facebook and Instagram, they are legitimate companies. They are not, scam companies, but you still got to be careful with what you're giving it them. So yeah, like be careful, and then you don't know where this all this information is going, what it's being fed into, and then you see you all the time. Though a lot of the hacks have been patched up, there'll be more hacks where people have been able to get the data that somebody else has put into a large language model like ChatGPT. They've been able to get it back as output by tricking it. So it's not even a matter of what they're using it for, who they're selling it to. You know, a hacker has, can get the data, even though it should be secure, even though it should be only accessible to you and maybe the company, but they've been able to get it. So yeah, I think that's very important. But again, like Big Al saying, don't be afraid to use the tools. Then, dive into them, but don't dive into them on the assumption that okay, I can just give you everything. Doesn't matter. Be careful what you're doing. Then also be careful, with who you're talking to, who you're talking, with these tools about, like especially when it comes, around employment as well. And again, it's not about deceiving anyone, but you might use these tools, but you might not, you know, say that you're using them, because at the end of the day, a lot of people will be like, nah, don't use them, for this or that reason. But if you're careful with them, you can, use them in a way that, again, it's not about getting away with it, but that's beneficial for you, but also beneficial with who you're working with as well. But again, if there's a avenue of having that conversation of, these are the tools I'm using, this is how it's improving, have those conversations, but be careful. Obviously, be careful who you're talking to. And also, like I said, be careful with the data that you're pouring in. So, guys, I want to thank Tom Vazdar for coming on podcast today. I want to thank Big Al Gruswitz for coming on to the podcast today. I want to thank Margarida Barreto for coming on to the podcast today. So thank you guys for coming on to FireDEV, this AI panel. I learned a lot. It was great talking to everyone. I'm sure the audience loved it as well. So thank you guys.
Well, thank you for doing it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Not a problem. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of FireDEV. I will provide, whilst we've been doing the podcast, all three of my guests have been, sending me different links, in our chat. So I'm going to put that in the show notes so you can access all of the links, all of the different websites that we've been talking about. So yeah, feel free to check them out, and I'll see everyone in next week's episode of FireDEV. Take care. Bye.